Welcome to Yeshiva Daf. She is sponsored by Yeshiva Zara. It's good to be back. We are learning Avoda Zara Daf Chof Aleph, starting Daf Chof Amud Beis and the bottom of the Mishnah. What's up the Mishnah? Ein maskirim lohem batim be'Eretz Yisrael. You're not allowed to rent out houses to a goy in Eretz Yisrael. And of course, you cannot rent out fields. We'll see in the Gemara what is the issue with fields. Why is it more chomer than houses? Uve Surya, in Syria, which is, we'll see, it's called Kibush Yochid, which means it was conquered by David HaMelech, but doesn't have the same level of Eretz Yisrael. We'll see in a moment. The din is, you do rent out houses, but not fields. Uve Chutzorets, outside of Eretz Yisrael, and outside of Syria, then you even can sell them houses, and only, but the fields only rent out. Not the sheet of Meir. You do rent out houses, but not fields. You can even sell a house and rent fields. You can sell both. So obviously, as you see already from the flow of the Mishnah, the main issue is to sell a house to a guy. That's the main issue. And we'll see from here how this builds up. The selling is the problem. Even when you place where you could rent, not to live there. Why? He puts into the house his Avoda Zara, his Yechezkel. You're not allowed to put a save in your house. You can't rent out a bathhouse. It's called in his name, and we'll see in the Gemara that he heats it up at Shabbos, and people think that the guy is doing it for him. Now, we have over here on the bottom of the page a very important thesis. Today's asks the question: how do we rent out houses today to a guy? How do we do that?
In Eretz Yisrael?
In Eretz Yisrael, how do we sell houses? According to one man, don't we now want to sell houses in Chutzotz, right? Maybe Eretz Yisrael. Let's say Eretz Yisrael with Chutzotz. What?
What are you supposed to do with Chutzotz?
Yeah, so that's the question. I mean, everybody holds you could sell them, but the question is in Eretz Yisrael, what do you do? So today's asked the question. So there's a few mahalchim in the Rishonim. Why today people are not makbid in this? One mahalch that Tosfos brings over here is the main issue is that they put Avoda Zara in it. And today, usually a regular guy does not put Avoda Zara. Only, Tosfos says, in the time of death, someone dies, it's like a temporary thing. The special occasions, they bring the Avoda Zara there. But on a regular daily basis, most guys don't have the Avoda Zara in the house.
So are we saying that the whole Mishnah, that it's Isser is because of Avoda Zara?
Yeah, because he puts, we talk about the end of the Mishnah, not the whole Mishnah, the end of the Mishnah. Referring to specifically the end of the Mishnah. It says, even in a place where you could rent the house, La Laveis Diru. You can't rent it to live there. Right. Why? Because he brings his Avoda Zara there.
So that means that Allah's time will come and he can't sell it because he would, it's not yours.
It's not yours, right.
So there's no Isser.
So no Isser. But to rent a house to a guy for a living space, you're not allowed to do, says the Mishnah.
That you can't sell.
So the Shai, sell is in Eretz Yisrael. We'll get to that. That's in Eretz Yisrael. But in Chutzotz you can sell, but you're not allowed to rent to live there. So today we do rent to live there. So why? So explain to Tosfos because he doesn't put Avoda Zara in, that's what Tosfos says. Many other Rishonim have different explanations. One of the explanations brought down the Rishonim is that we're not really considered to be owners of the house. Yes, we own the house because the king allowed us to own it. But they can take it away from us whenever they want. So it's not really considered to be our ownership. And therefore, we don't have the Isser to rent a house. The problem with renting a house to a guy who brings Avoda Zara is because it's ours. But it's not fully ours, I mean not. That's one other explanation of the Rishonim. And there's several other explanations of the Rishonim. How today we rent a house to a guy, or a house to a living space. But this is the problem with the end of our Mishnah. It says the Gemara now. Why is Sodus more chomer in Eretz Yisrael to sell than a house? Well, I'll tell you why. Because there's two things by a field. First of all, you're giving him a place in Eretz Yisrael. You're not supposed to give a guy a place in Eretz Yisrael. There's another issue. That you're taking away the meiser from the field. If you give the guy the field, he's not going to take on meiser. You're removing the meiser from the field, taking away the mitzvah. Iachi botim nami. It's also houses. Ikatar, there's two. Chad Yechezkel, you're giving them a place to be in Eretz Yisrael. V'chad kamaf claim mezuzah. What about the mitzvah of mezuzah? So more misharsha mezuzah choivas hadarhu. Pashup Pshat, what it means choivas hadarhu is mezuzah is not a din on the owner. It's a din on whoever lives there. Whoever lives in the house needs to put a mezuzah in the house. So if I give in the house, it's not taking away the mezuzah from the house, because the mezuzah it's obligation whoever lives in the house. So if I live in the house, I have to put a mezuzah. If someone else lives in the house, they don't have to put a mezuzah. So there's no din, no problem to give the guy the house, taking away the mezuzah. There's no chayvus mezuzah on the house. The chayvus mezuzah on the dar, on the person who's living there. So I'm not taking away the mitzvah. Shenk and meiser is on the field. So if I'm giving the field to a guy, taking away the mitzvah of meiser. Now.
So if you build a house, you own the house, you haven't moved in, and you haven't sold it, and it sits there for 1 year, there's no mitzvah putting it on.
No mitzvah putting mezuzah. I mean, that's what happens today. When you give a house to a guy, and a guy rents a house, you don't put a mezuzah there. Unless you're using it. If you don't use it, you don't do it. Okay, so says the Gemara, Besuria maskirin batim. And in Syria, you do rent houses. Why can you sell a house in Syria? It's a gzeira to mechira Yisrael. You're not allowed to sell a house in Israel, as we said, because of Chanias Karka. You're giving a place for a guy in Eretz Yisrael. So therefore, you're not allowed to sell in Syria either. Yachi mischir is now a nigzer, so also don't allow to rent it. Says the Gemara, he gufa gzeira about a nikur v'nigzer gzeira l'gzeira. So here the Gemara gives us the key. Really, the issue is only to sell. There's no issue to rent mikar or din. The reason why you can't rent because you're going to come to sell. But if selling itself is only a gzeira, because in Syria we don't have problem to sell, it's only in Eretz Yisrael. So in Mele you could renting you could do because you don't do a double gzeira. Says the Gemara, what about renting a field? You're not allowed to sell a field, you're also not allowed to rent a field. Why not allowed to rent a field? Says the Gemara, it's not a gzeira. Kasovar kibush yochid shmei kibush. Kibush yochid, it is a kibush. Meaning, Syria was a kibush yochid. We'll see in a moment what does it mean kibush yochid. But it means it's not the full kibush that we had in Eretz Yisrael. Is that good enough to be a kibush? This man Dharma holds kibush yochid, shmei kibush. It is a kibush. So if so what? So did this betarte, so did that you have both. Which means what? You have both the issue of hafkos meiser and chanias karko, because the Berabono not to sell it. Batim, the late smutarte, the body, the owner both, loy goes to Berabono. So Rashi explains, what does it mean? Selling have an issue in both. Look at Lashon Rashi. Shmei kibush, u'mechiro de suryo, iko yisuro, bein batim, bein sodes. Selling have a problem with the house or a field. Hilkas chiru sodes de suryo lagzeri, mishus chiros de Eretz Yisrael. The reason why you now rent a field in Syria is not because of Eretz Yisrael. Elam shubichir sodes the lagzeri elisur de raisa. So selling is an issue midoraisa. Renting is a gzeru. The bottom word goes there only by fields, not by a house. Now, what does it mean kibush yochid? So Toises mentions it. What is kibush yochid? Rashi brings that there wasn't there urim v'tumim v'shishim riboy. Toises brings that shishim riboy, what it means is that there was an individual doing it, and it was one of the ways to say it. It was not sanctioned. It was not approved.
What's the definition?
What?
What's the definition of the words?
Kibush yochid means a conquering of an individual. What does that mean? So here we have Rashi Toises. Rashi says because not all Am Yisrael joined in it. It wasn't urim v'tumim v'shishim riboy. Toises says no, that's not a problem. If a king decides to take one unit of the army and to conquer, it's also considered to be kibush tzibur. The problem is when it was not done in order that the Torah allowed it. Because Baruch Hu said that in order to conquer any part of Eretz Yisrael, you have to first of all conquer what HaKadosh Baruch Hu designated to be conquered. That's number one. After you conquer that, then you can go and conquer other places. Here we did it not.
I thought it was was not a tzibur. She was honoring was a tzibur.
Well, so Taisus learns that any kibush that was done after kibush Shiva Amin is allowed. But if you do it before, that's when you have an issue. So it's not done not in the right way. That's what Taisus learns. Okay, then there's other shittas in the Rishonim, but let's leave it open with this. B'chutz la'aretz, now says the Gemara. What about chutz la'aretz? So did the East B'tarti goes over Rabban on Batim the lace to B'tarti goes over Rabban. Chutz la'aretz, there is no issue in selling itself. But there were guys there by Sodeh, which in Eretz Yisrael you have two issues. What's the issue of Meiser and Chanio? So the guys are Sodeh and Chutz at the Sodeh in Eretz Yisrael. But Batim, that you don't have an issue, is there only one issue? So the Chutz is there allowed. Rabbi Yisrael, what does Rabbi Yisrael hold? Eretz Yisrael, Maskil and Batim, Mechulei. My time is Sodeh, these B'utarti goes over Rabbanon. Batim, the lace through B'utarti goes over Rabbanon. Even in Eretz Yisrael itself, we're not going there to rent it because the issue is only to sell. And only when you have a double issue, I don't let you to rent. For now I do. And so you can even sell. Why can you sell? Because the old kibush loish kibush have no issue deraisa to sell a house or a field in Chutz La'aretz. So therefore, by a house you could sell lechatrilo. So these but so then you have a double issue. One of Chenias Karka and the other of Meiser goes to Barabon and Syria as well. What it does with Artila goes to Barabon. Ubichutzos Moichim according to Rabbi Yossi. Why? My time because it's far away. Lugazrina, not Gozer. A discussion why I say far away. What happens to Chutzos which is close there to so within change? Omar Yidom Shmuel like Rabbi Yossi Pascal like Rabbi Yossi is more maker. Omar Rabbi Yossi v'lvad shelo yasem no shchuna. And even though you could sell to a guy, but you're not allowed to sell a shchuna. Kama shchuna? What's a shchuna? What's a neighborhood in the definition of the Gemara? Tane shchuna pchusa mishloisha b'nei cannot sell to three people. You can sell one house, but not three. So okay, he's going to sell to one guy, and then the guy will sell to two, so eventually it will come out to be three. This is a lush I think more said before. The lifnei evil look at the mikshel. We're only choshing one leaf, not double lifnei. Here it's not lifnei evil look at the mikshel. Here's nothing to do with lifnei evil. Here you're not allowed to sell a house to a guy in Eretz Yisrael. You merely have a gzeir and chutzot after Eretz Yisrael. It's nothing to do with lifnei evil. So both Rashi and Today's point out it's not a lifnei evil over here. It's only a lashon mushal. It's only a borrowed term to say I'm not geyser so much. I'm geyser one stage, not two stage. I told you not to sell to a guy. You sold to a guy, and I have to sell to multiple guys. You sold to one, and then he decided to be a developer and to sell to multiple people. That's not, we're not geyser so much.
Not geyser to what? You can't even sell it first.
Yeah, can't even sell first. You're allowed to sell one. You're not allowed to sell three. What happens if that one will sell others? You know, that's kind of I'm not responsible for that.
You can sell for one.
Yeah. Says even in a place where they said that you could rent, we said don't rent it to a base dira, and that's what we mentioned before because it can bring us over the Zara's gachka to there. There are some places you don't rent houses to a guy. Who holds there are places you don't rent to a guy? That goes like a mayor, because he holds an Eretz Yisrael, you don't rent the house to a guy. According to Rabbi Yossi, he holds you can rent even in Eretz Yisrael. That's what we said in the Mishnah. So you see from the end of the Mishnah that stuff in the Mishnah holds that like Rameir. In other words, it's a rather Pascal like Rameir over here. Says the Gemara, Tanya, we look at the end of the Mishnah. The Mishnah says you're not allowed to rent out the bathhouse to a guy. Says the Gemara, Tanya, don't rent a house, a bathhouse to a goy, because it's called in the name of what? Of the Yid. And he's doing melacha over there. So even though he's doing it for himself, but everybody says this is the house of the Jew. The bathhouse of the Jew is working on Shabbos. The kusi, my shori, a kusi, who is that ummah, that nation. The Jordan Am Yisrael, we have a discussion, they consider to be Geri Emes to Geri Arayis, but they join the Pashas weird, the way the Rishonim say over here, discussion a little bit in the Rishonim, the Pashas we talk about, and that's a rational. We talk about we hold kusi geri emes. It's good gerus. So by a kusi you could give it to him. Kusi, why? Kiso.
Even if you hold a not geramis, but they're not going to call it.
Oh, okay, very good. That's a discussion, right? That's what the Rishonim went into here. You have to get the gerus. Kusi to be melachim chol shemayim. What about chol hamayim? The kusi is going to do a work in chol hamayim. And you're not allowed to do a work in chol hamayim. So how the kusi will do it because he's not careful for chol hamayim. We also find that we do. We do sometimes in a place that we need. We're allowed to do mechatzos. Rashi says if Pashas can do the mechatzos. Question is that just an open thing that you can do it, or it's only in a case that you need it. But there is cases, at least there are some cases that you will have. You're going to be warming up the mechatzos. So the kus is not doing anything that you're not doing. Says the Gemara. Aval mashma aval sadel l'kachovi ma'ishari. Right? What about a sadeh? No problem. Why is sadeh mutter? What about the fact that he's going to be working there on Shabbos? So the Gemara at my time, arisa arisu seko of it. He's a sharecropper. Sharecropper is normal. That sharecropper takes over the field. That says they're not going to say it's a field of a Jew. They're going to understand that he took it over. Right now, he is the one responsible. Says the Gemara, they'll say the same thing about mechutz. Says the Gemara, arisu the mechutz lo yavdeichi. It's not common to have a sharecropper by a mechutz. Usually, the owner of the mechutz takes care of it. If you have a guy working there, the guy is working for the Jew, so they can assume that way. That could be a year it's different, and the guy took over, and he has the franchise over here in the bris mechutz. It's not normal. It's not the normal way of doing it, and therefore you have your problem. That's one way to learn the Gemara. The Gemara brings another opposite way. Says the Gemara, Tanya Shimon lo zoimer lo yaski odom sadeo lekusi preishikrini kris ashmoy. Should now rent his field to a kusi because it's called in his name of the Jew. The kusi is oiseh bo melacha b'chol shemayit, and the kusi can do melacha chol hamayit. Aber kechovi ma'ishari. Kechovi, it's okay. Why? The amre arisa arisuse ovid. He's a sharecropper, but he knows the sharecropper is the owner. Yachi kusi nami amre arisa arisuse ovid. So also by a kusi saying that he's a sharecropper, says the Gemara, the Chabitza Mudalev, arisuso l'Shim Elazar leisle. Shim Elazar always there's no arisus. What does it mean? There's no arisus, meaning that people don't assume that this is arisus. Is a sharecropper. Is it a mean that there's no sharecropper at all, or is that common to have a sharecropper, or you don't assume that it's a sharecropper by the field? What? Oh, says the Gemara. Hello, my time motor. So why go is allowed to? You'll tell the guy, don't work. You can rent it out to him and say, listen, I'm going to rent you out the field, but there's one condition. You're not allowed to work on the Sabbath. Says the Gemara, Kusi, now I'm really vitzais. So Kusi, you'll tell him and you'll listen. Kusi loy tzais. He doesn't listen. Why? The Kusi, he says, what do you mean? I'm a better Jew than you. You're telling me not to work in Chol Hamoed? I know better than you. A guy, he was respectful. This goes according to Mandam, the old Gary Emes. They're Jews. If they're Jews, you're causing him to do an Aveira. If I'm giving him the field to work there, you're causing him to do Avoda and Chol Hamoed, leave the evil at the Mirshah. Says the Gemara, Chad the void koma. You're right. 2 problems. Chado Mishu Livnei Iver. That's number 1. Another thing, it's going to look bad because people are going to say he's allowing to work on Shabbos, on Chol Hamoed. That's a kusi. Took yourselves over here, and we're going this thing. Now, we have over here a very, very important thesis with very Nigel Halacha. Just to mention the Nakudo that we're talking about over here, and that's the discussion of Kabbalonus. What is Kabbalonus? Kabbalonus says, can I have somebody, in general, Kabbalonus, if I give a guy a job to do, and he does it, he gets paid not by the hour, he gets paid for the work. I give him a shoe to fix my shoe. Now, he wants to do it on Shabbos. He can do it on Sunday, he can do it on Friday, he decides to do it on his own time. So, it's mutter if you do it on Shabbos. What we're seeing over here in our Gemara is we're going Beis HaMechetz. What's Beis HaMechetz? That if he's putting out a bathhouse, everybody knows it belongs to the Jew, then you have an issue. So here we have the thesis, very, very interesting thesis, very Nigel Lamaisa thesis, regarding can a guy do a work on a Yid's house on Shabbos? Can he do work or not? According to what we see here in the Gemara, you can't do it because people will say this is the house of the Jew, which
Perhaps you
cannot.
Perhaps you can.
What?
Perhaps you can't.
Perhaps you can't. Why can't you? Because it looks like a guy is doing avodah in Shabbos. That's why the halacha l'maisa is brought down. It's brought down the Shriya Shabbos. Having a guy do the laundry with a washing machine is a problem because it would call af shamilus because of the noise. People see there's avodah happening here on Shabbos.
Yeah, but the guy's getting paid for like you said, whatever he wants to do it. So it's a difference.
But if it's in your house, it's a problem. That's what we see over here in Gemara. He could do it in his own house. But if he goes and does it in your house, it's an issue.
This neighborhood, this doesn't apply.
So everyone has a guy.
As a guy, I've been to people's houses, walking, I see
because anything done in the house of the Jew that people know that belongs to the Jew is an issue that Nikras Lashvoi.
But in your house, nobody's
They have more problems.
one thing
You see, in this neighborhood, the problem.
that you can't
Yeah, you're right. There has to be something that makes noise.
In this neighborhood, the problem is the housekeeper's off Sunday. So the aunt in the house wants to work on Saturday. She's not.
So that's usher. That's a problem. And people that allow the guys to do these jobs on Shabbos, they're over Isser. So you're lakum. But I'm saying there are some things that have to do. Let's say the maid has to do her own thing in her room, and she has to complete something. She has a week to complete it. She wants to finish it on Shabbos. Okay. But when you're making a noise, what happens? Construction. You have a guy doing construction on the house of a Jew. So the discussion over here today brings you different shittas, it brings you different opinions, and there's also one of the discussions is what happens when it's outside of the city. You're going in a city when Jews are not living. So they have the chur should not be a problem. The problem is only because of Nikras Lashvoi. So there's a very long taste over here. We just touch upon the discussion, but it's a big discussion over here in the Rishonim and the Sugya regarding that.
So you have a summer house.
So stop over here.
You have a